Today we are speaking with Kim Birmingham, who is a member of the State School Board of Education and represents the larger portion of Davis County. There's been a lot of talk lately about state school board elections and how currently it is a partisan election and how there's a push to make it a nonpartisan election. Can you describe to us the current process for the state school board election?
The current process has people who wish to be a member of the state school board file just as you would for any election. But once those names are received, they do not go onto the ballot for the public to vote. Instead, they go to a committee of 12 people that is appointed by the governor. And those 12 people narrow down the number that have filed to 3, which they forward to the governor. The governor selects from the 3 2, and the 2 appear on the ballot. So, for instance, in some cases, my own case recently, I think there were like 7 or 8 people who filed. The committee then of these 12 selected people narrow the names to go down to the governor's office. But when the actual appointments are made, we have found in recent years that they sometimes really represent a particular point of view, and they consequently eliminate people who don't represent that point of view, and it's a process capable of being manipulated and is.
Now, Representative Jim Nilsen has sponsored a bill to make the elections nonpartisan. What can you tell us of the status of this bill?
There are actually 2 bills. Jim Nilsen's, but I've only learned fairly recently that Carol Spackman-Moss is also presenting a bill. Carol Spackman-Moss, a Democrat, Jim Nilsen, a Republican. I personally believe both of them are vast improvements. In both cases, they would eliminate the committee process and just go to the public. So people file, names appear on primaries held, it's narrowed down to 2, and it goes on. When you look at the voting, you can see that those with one political philosophy are voting strictly for certain ones, those from the education philosophy are for another one, and it's being divided around these political lines. It just makes a lot more sense to let the public narrow them down, because that's who we represent is the public, not some political or educational group.
And they were eliminated because of their political stance?
Well, it's presumptuous of me to say why they made that elimination. The votes are not known. This year they tried to hold their vote in secret, which has got them into a lot of trouble and, in fact, a lawsuit because they shouldn't do that. The state constitution says that people in the education employment or involved in educational leadership should not have partisan affiliations. I believe that's extremely important, and both bills do that. What, of course, we're hearing is that there are some politicians who want to have the bills amended to make them partisan elections. Everybody seems to agree that the committee process I described is bad. It's been proven pretty manipulative.
Now, you mentioned this opposition, that they want to amend the bill to make it a partisan election. What specifics can you tell us about this opposition? Who's opposing it?
Well, that's the difficult thing, you see, is that will not become apparent until the bill appears and somebody makes that amendment on the floor of the House. I can tell you that there were some folks, an individual, I don't know if because it was given in a private conversation, but an individual representing a political group pretty far right, that called Jim Nilsen specifically said that he's planning, or he would like Jim himself to change it to a partisan election. Some of us really believe strongly that the nonpartisan approach is the best one to represent the public, that education should remain nonpartisan, and we've been actively trying to encourage the bills to stay where they are. Frankly, either the Spackman-Moss bill or the Nielsen bill would be vast improvements. They'd eliminate this committee process, and they'd both remain nonpartisan.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
I'm glad to do so.
We've been speaking with Kim Birmingham, a Utah State School Board member, on the legislative effort to have nonpartisan state school board elections. Reporting with Utah Public Radio, this is Jesse Dredge.